Thank you so much for watching us, for listening to us. This is Daddy's
On Duty. Welcome back.
Marte.
I'm Eric Martinez.
What an episode we have today. This is a very good one.
And a very informative episode.
We went through this.
Yeah, we went through this. This is a, for families who are looking to, well, if you're expanding your family.
Yeah.
And then naturally, in most cases, you need to expand your home. Not many people will be expanding their home in this market, but just in case you do, you can go back to this episode at some point. Here with us today,
Sandy Cuevas, real estate expert and investor. Thank you so much, Sandy.
Thank you, guys. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me. For me, it's an honor. I appreciate the opportunity of being here.
Thank you for the home that you helped us.
Absolutely. In a great timing, a great market you guys bought it at. I think, looking back at it, and I think you guys are grateful for making the move at the right time, right? I would say.
Yes.
So that was,
we're still
That
here.
was 5 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago. Great market right before, I think it was in the middle of COVID, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Pandemic.
The middle of COVID, great interest rates. You should never refinance. So, and you got it at the right price, in my opinion. So, you've done pretty well over the past few years. I'm glad to be here and looking forward to informing people and answering some questions that I'm sure a lot of you, or the people in the audience, have.
Yeah, let's get right into it. If you are a family that is about to welcome in a child, or let's start with that one. If you don't have a child yet, but you are getting ready for it, it's about to be born. Do you buy before? Do you buy after?
I'm gonna answer that question in a way where I think could clarify for a lot of people. To me, in my opinion, if you have the resources and the ability to do so, the earlier the better. Okay. I think if you're in the real estate market, one of the things that I want to clarify for a lot of people before we dive deep into real estate is the market that we're in, right? There's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of doubts right now on people that want to make the move of either getting into real estate or buying a home. And is that the interest rates are high, the market is not the best, the economy is not doing well. It all comes down to your goals, right? And most people that want to buy a home, I'm assuming that they're looking at a long-term play, right? Most people that are looking to buy a house, they're looking at least for that property to be their home for the next 5 to 10 years, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. You can't go wrong long-term in real estate, regardless of what you do, unless you're buying in the worst location and the worst property. So right now, I have some clients of mine that reached out to me 5 years ago, right? And I talked to them recently, and they're like, God damn it, I wish I would have bought 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And they thought that the prices were crazy after COVID or before COVID. They thought that the interest rates was high then. Good luck now.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And even now, listen, I'm telling you right now, if you're looking for your long-term home, for the home that you're going to be in for the next 5, 6, 10, 20 years, does it really matter what the interest rate is when you can refinance at any point, right?
And also your mortgage payment.
And
It's usually I'm not saying that it doesn't make a difference, but the end number, the bottom line, what you pay monthly, that's the number that you're going to go by for the next few years.
Not only that, they're like, oh, yeah, my mortgage payment is going to be high. Good luck. Go get out there and rent right now. Yeah. It's $3,500 for a 2-bedroom apartment anywhere you go. 1,000 square.
And you're not going to get that money back.
Correct.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that money back. And next year, your rent is going to go up.
Yeah.
And 2 years from now, it's going to go up again. Right. So you lose control of your financial, stability of the long run. And yes, a lot of people, they're like, oh, I can't afford a $4,000 mortgage payment. Well, get into a 2-family house, right? You get into a 3-family, a 4-family house. You can buy FHA, first-time home buyer, up to 4 units.
Before we get into that, it is something that I wanted to touch on. And I've heard this a lot when speaking to people who will ask me, they're interested in buying a home. I hear this a lot from single mothers. I hear this a lot from, if they have like a median income that in their opinion is not, enough to purchase a home. the general message is that to purchase a home is not obtainable, right? It's like
Yes.
it's too hard. And I always tell them, listen, there are options out there. Don't think that you just because you make 40, 50, 60, I mean, I don't know what the range is, but it's not possible. There's something you can or can't do, or at least even if you try and getting into there might be a property for you somewhere, even if it's an apartment that you can get for like a studio. The investing is worth it. So what would you tell those people?
So I don't want to give the wrong advice to people, right? And we have to be honest. We're in one of the hardest times to get a home right now, and that is obviously being caused by the economy that we're in versus in the interest rate that we have right now, right? Because when the interest rates go up, your buying power goes down. So right now, the average home in the state of New Jersey, at least in the northern side where we are, it's $550,000-$600,000. From 5-6 years ago, $350,000-$400,000. So anybody that is going to buy a house for $600,000 right now, unless you're making $100,000, it's technically impossible. That is assuming that you don't have a lot of debt, that your debt to ratio has to be typically 35 to 40%, meaning that your whatever your mortgage payment is going to be, your income should be about your disposable income should be about 35%. So with that being said, there's still options out there, right? Like I'll say it again. Maybe you can't qualify, you can't get into a 1-family, but get into a 2-family or get into a 3-family, because when you do that, you can utilize the rental income from the other 1 unit or second unit towards your mortgage payments. So now it's not just your income. Now you have the income of another 2 apartments. So if you're buying a 3-family, which there's a ton of 3-families, not in the top-notch neighborhoods in New Jersey, obviously, but there's a lot of 2-families and 3-families and 4-families. It's still for $600,000, for $700,000. And when you're having rental income of $2,000 in one apartment, $1,500 on the other one, that right there is $3,500 monthly income that can be utilized towards qualifying for a mortgage. So it's a matter of looking at the right options, right? There's a ton of programs with the government, grants that they offer to low income housing. There's a lot of options out there, so it's a matter of getting educated. It's not easy, okay? So I don't want to sell it to people like it's easy, especially in a competitive market where 90% of the times the homes are being sold with multiple offers, just like it was when you guys bought your house. You remember how many offers we made when we were out there, right?
We looked at 20 houses, I remember.
Exactly. 20 houses, and we made multiple offers, right? And we got outbid on a couple of them. So it's still like that. It's still a seller's market. I don't think it's still like it was, like as crazy as it was. So, there's not like 20 offers on every home anymore. It's more like 5, 6, 7 offers. It's still super competitive. But the fact that the interest rates went up have obviously push out a lot of people off the market.
Now, Sandy, how do we, as parents or parents to be, prepared to buy a home? What are some of the key factors? Let's break them down.
Absolutely. So one of I would say the first and the most important step is the financial step, right? That a lot of people, I think a lot of people underestimate how long it's going to take to buy a house, right? Yes. So my advice is, like, even if you're expecting to have a kid or a baby in the next year or two, it's always good to still have the initial conversation with the mortgage broker, because your mortgage broker will give you advice that will make your process a lot easier by the time you're ready, such as, this is how much money you need to have saved down, such as, well, listen, we got to clear some debt off your credit report, right? So let's pay off some credit cards. Let's maybe get rid of that lease, because that lease in your credit won't allow you to qualify. Let's work on, maybe we're going to need a co-signer, because maybe you're not going to be able to qualify by yourself. Maybe we're going to need a brother or somebody who can temporarily maybe support you with the mortgage, right? To qualify for the mortgage. So there's a lot of steps that need to happen in order for you to qualify for that mortgage, that you have to make those moves few months ahead of time if you're not ready. And even if you are, like, let's say you are 100% ready, maybe it could be, you know what, maybe I want to put a little bit more money down so my monthly payment is a little bit less. So they can give you those answers that you need. So speak to your local mortgage broker. That's my suggestion. That's one of the first things you should be doing. The other thing is start looking and analyzing which areas you want to look at and start studying the market, right? Look on Zillow, what's selling for how much.
And I think that's
Are
key
you going to go
because
through our experience?
no, well, not because of that. I think it's, and I know what you're thinking, but I think it's key too, because when parents are looking for homes, they're looking for the better school systems.
Yeah.
And as you know, school systems will drive up the cost.
Oh, absolutely.
As we know.
The taxes.
Taxes.
100%. That's
Yeah.
one of the most important factors for parents when looking for homes. And, a lot of times what I recommend people, again, it really depends on the time frame that you have. Like, some people, they're like, oh, I want a home in the next 2 months, in the next 3 months, right? I always tell my clients, I say one of the best times of the year to start looking for a home is probably the winter when everybody's not looking for a home, right? Everybody's in the market, in the spring market. Yeah. Tax season's over, school year's over. Everybody wants to get into the school systems for September. So you want to do the opposite of what people are doing, right? There's less competition. There's probably, some people that really need to sell and they're selling in the winter. So I've always tell people, move into the area you're looking for. Like if you have to, you're not going to make a move for the next 2-3 years. Why don't you just move into the neighborhood? Rent for the meantime, right? Get an apartment, start analyzing the area, because some people, they might end up buying a house and then they don't like the area. So I suggest that to people a lot too. Get familiar with the area. Make sure you know people in the area.
You know what?
I was going to say one of the things that we
did do that
a couple of times. So, for example, I remember you were not part of that, but after the showings, right, we will come back to the places that we
morning, afternoon,
evening, come in the
evening,
mornings,
because you just don't know.
Walk the park, run around the neighborhood, eat around. Just let's see how it feels.
Yes.
Being part of this community. We did that couple of times in different places.
Yeah.
And
you have to get familiar with the parks, with the area. Listen, I can't tell you how many houses I've showed in the winter months, and then when you go by the same area in the summer, it's completely different.
Well, there was one house that we saw in the morning. When we went at nighttime, we said no, it's not here.
It is not.
So,
and it was great in the morning time. It was
you
saw
have
the
to
school
do
kids
that.
going in.
You have to work on doing your due diligence, right? You have to make sure that you do your homework, that you study the area, that you guys have to make sure that the finances make sense for you. There's so many steps. It's one of your biggest investments in your whole life. And if you do it right in the right location, it's one of your assets that are going to, drive your wealth up eventually. So,
and what are the challenges from new parents to be when it comes to buying a property? What challenges do you see that they are facing?
Right now in this market, I would say the biggest challenge is, finding that home with the amount of inventory that we have. I have people right now that, unfortunately, they've been looking for houses for 8 months, a year, and we have not been able to lock anything up.
Is there something that could be done differently from the
having the right agent,
tailor their expectations.
Yes, having the right agent definitely helps, right? I can tell you that I have access to a lot of off-market inventory, and that is because I have a lot of relationship with agents, a lot of relationship with direct homeowners. I have a big network of people that I work with. But it's challenging in the market that we're in, because what's happening is right now in the market we're in North Jersey, we're behind like 6 months of inventory. What do I mean by that? Is that every time a property comes on the market, you have a line of people that have been waiting on that home for 6 months. So, there's properties selling for $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 of asking price. I just put a house on the market in Roselle, New Jersey 3 weeks ago, and it's I'm closing next week for $90,000 above asking price, right? I had 17 offers on that property. Not every property that I put on the market is like that, but just imagine that 15 families missed out on that home. And they, and they probably missed out on the last 10, 15 homes that
it's hard when you miss out one of those homes. I mean,
Yeah.
you go through a grieving period.
So
Yeah.
I think that's one of the main challenges that people are having right now is locking up that property. Okay. And a lot of people get discouraged. They're like, maybe I should wait.
Well, that's, it's one thing is if you're looking to buy your home, right? And what if you're looking to sell your home? Like, I'm going to give you an example. I have a friend of mine now, and we were just having this conversation. She's moving. She's relocating.
Okay.
Wants a better opportunity. And she's having difficulty selling her home, which is the opposite now when you hear, and I've told her, I just think your real estate agent sucks. But now she's locked into, like, those contracts are written for like 6 or 7 months. So what are the things to look for? What should you look for? Like, before you put your house on the market, what should you look for? Because a lot of times, when you're about to have another child, like, let's say you might have 2 kids already, now you have a third. Now you need a bigger property. I was having this conversation at work that with a family, they actually need a bigger home now, and they want to do the whole mortgage to mortgage kind of thing, swap out. What advice
they wanted to sell that and buy another property at the same time.
So what are the things you look out for if you're looking to just sell your home, and and buy a new home?
Right. So I've always tell people my clients in this market, if your property isn't selling, okay, there's multiple reasons. And one of the most important reasons is obviously price. If your home is not selling, you're probably asking for too much, okay? And you haven't done the work that needs to be done to put it on the market, or, make sure you attract the right buyer. So either your agent is not doing the right job, right? You're not getting the right exposure. It's not being marketed well. You could be overpriced and it's not showing well. Maybe the curb appeal on the property. Maybe you need to do some work before you show it, before you put it out there. So it would have to be honest, it's a situation based that you need to analyze and determine, what's not being done properly there. But
yeah, because I remember when I sold my first property, like my first home that I purchased, when I first put it on the market, the real estate agent that I had, she was very funny. She was like, she walked in and she was like, okay, those pictures come down, everything come down. It's like, you don't live here.
yes.
And I remember I was like, okay.
You have to depersonalize the property, because when people go in, they want to feel like they're walking to a house.
Yeah, potentially what being there is going to feel like for them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So if they walk in and all they see is pictures of your family,
Yeah.
they can't picture themselves in there.
Yeah.
It's psychology.
But then when it comes to the worth, right? And we're just human beings, like our self-worth and hope. Who determines that? Isn't that the bank who determines how much the house is worth?
Typically, if the
appraisal,
buyer purchasing the home is going to do an appraisal on the property, right? If they're getting a mortgage. But as a broker, as a real estate broker, we run a market analysis on the home. How do we determine the prices of homes in the area? Is by comparing your home apples to apples. If your neighbor's house sold for $500,000 and he has a similar property like yours, similar condition, similar bedrooms, square footage, renovation, etc., then your house then is worth $500,000. So we do a market analysis based on comparables within a mile away from your property in the last 6 months, and then based on that, we determine what your price should be.
Now, Eric mentioned something about contracts, right?
Yeah.
With the real estate agent. Do you recommend someone looking for a home to sign a contract with their agent?
So you have to, right?
So you have to. If
It's mandatory?
Yeah. Well, it's most agents to work with you in this market. They want you to sign a contract stating that if you end up buying a property with a certain amount of period, either buying or selling, but let's talk about buying first, you have to sign what is called the buyer's agent's agreement. That buyer's agent's agreement says that you, as the buyer, you're on the market. Any homes that you see, you have to put an offer with that agent. Okay. Now I'm going to say something that a lot of people might not agree with me, especially realtors or professionals in the real estate market. I've never had one of my buyers sign a buyer's agent's agreement.
Yeah, I remember we didn't sign a contract.
Yeah, you didn't sign one. And the reason why is because I believe in personal relationships. And if I have never, ever force anybody to work with me that you don't want to work with me. You work with me because you believe in my values, in the services that I can provide to you. It's not mandatory, but it's required if you're gonna end up representing somebody. So I typically have them sign it at the end, like here, and that's it. But yeah, and then when it comes to selling, you do have to sign what is called an exclusive agency agreement, which is you need a realtor to represent you as your listing agent. That realtor does have an exclusive right to represent you and market your property. And if they end up selling it, they collect the commission. But those are it could be conditional or they can be unconditional contracts. So there's ways to get out of it and, without any penalties. Typically realtors only get paid if the transaction goes through.
Now, if you can rank, right, when someone is buying a house, we spoke about the area, the school system, rank from like 1 to 5, the top, I guess, priorities for someone buying a house, a new parent or parent to be, what would that be?
So for parents, I would say the number one is the school system.
Okay.
That's on the top right now, and that's what most parents look for. If number two, I would say location. Most people like property, they want to be close to their work, they want to be close to their family. Locations sell, and you're going to duplicate your value based on locations 100%. And then I guess you have to also like it depends on what type of property you're looking for. Suburbs, a little bit more city feeling, right? So if you're closer to the city, public transportation. So I think the top two are school systems and location. That's what drives people, and based on that, depending on where you are.
And I think it's across even for non-parents, because I think it's one of the things that you told us too. We weren't parents.
Well,
we weren't parents yet.
We weren't parents yet, but we knew we wanted to.
No, we weren't. But I remember what you said with this.
What was that?
You're fine. With this particular home, you said, it's a great school system, but just think of if you needed to sell. Like if at some point, you never know. Things happen. If you need to sell, you do want to be in a favorable situation that if you needed to sell, the house will sell quickly.
And I would tell you something. I maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think you guys at that moment realized how big of an investment it was when it came to the school system, because you are in one of the top school systems in the state.
No, we didn't realize it.
That's what I'm
I was
saying.
going to advocate for the schools.
Correct.
When we didn't have kids, I was saying, I'm going to show up to the PTA anyway.
Yeah, I don't think that was a priority for you guys at that moment, right? On top of, great location, no doubt, right? But I have so many. You have no idea the amount of people that call me up and they're like, I want to live in this town because of the school system, right? So that's definitely a huge advantage.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons when we asked for the taxes why they were so high.
Yes.
So we have this one neighbor that this is before we had the kids, and she says, you know what, I don't have kids. Like, why do we pay so much for taxes? I said, I know we don't have kids either. Well, you know what, we're going to show up there and say, what are we? But now that we have kids, you know what? Now we do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Now we feel like we live in High School Musical.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It pays off. Absolutely.
Well, Sandy, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Before we leave, any message that you want to send out to, parents or parent to be looking for a home?
Yes, absolutely. So my advice to people is that it's doable. Buying a home is not as hard as people make it seem. We are in a difficult market. I don't want to, misguide anybody. But if you're looking to make that move, make sure you talk to the right professionals. It's never too early to make that call and start getting an understanding of what are some of the things that you should be doing to get ready in a real estate, and if you're looking to buy a house, the earlier you get in it, the better it is, right? If you're looking for your first time home for an investment property, long-term real estate, you can never go wrong. Okay.
How can they follow you on social media?
Absolutely. So you can follow me on Instagram, Cuevas Sandy. You can find me on Instagram and on Facebook as well. I put a lot of content out. I try to educate people and keep up, with the market and everything that's going on. So any questions, you guys can also reach me. I'll put my phone number is 201-205-4412. I'm glad to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you.
Look forward to helping anybody.
Make sure you only hit them up for real estate purposes. Right?
That's it.
Thank you so much for your time. And you let me know. Let us know if you are in the process of buying a house, or if your family's growing, you're moving out of your current home. What are you doing? How are you dealing with that stress? It could be very stressful. Hit us up on Daddy's on Duty at Eric Martinez, alias El Marte, and don't forget, hit us up on YouTube. Become part of our community.
Click
Subscribe. See you next time. Right?
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.